Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. Today I'm going to tell you all you need to know about growing and harvesting poplars. If this is what you're looking for, then please stay tuned. Alright folks, welcome back to another how-to guide today on Sunday. So we're going to look into poplars, which I have growing here. So we have a field here that is just without any poplars, just a cultivated field. Poplars in their first growth state, which is right after they've been planted. This is how they come out of the planter essentially. And then I guess this would be their first growth state or second growth state, depending on how you look at it. So second growth state, third, and then fourth, here they are ready, dried out, and ready to harvest. So they have some interesting features about these guys that we'll talk about as we go through. But yeah, so we're just going to do it like I do all my other how-to guides with crops. We're going to start off by looking at all the equipment, and then we're going to kind of do some demonstrations and talk about some specifics to these crops. So stand by, and I'll go get our equipment set up. All right, here we are looking at equipment, and as I normally do when we talk about equipment and stuff in my how-to guides, I'm going to divide this up into multiple phases. So phase one today is going to be field preparation or field prep. Phase two will be planting. Phase three will be field care, as it normally is. Phase 4 will be harvesting, and then a bonus phase, if you will. Phase 5 will be baling, which we'll explain more about that when we get to that point. Which it kind of ties in with harvesting, but anyhow, we're going to continue on from there. So before you can plant poplars, you need to cultivate a field. You can either have it in a cultivated state or a plowed state. This is just a standard plow, standard cultivator, and again, you can use disc harrows or however else you want to get about it. If you don't know how to plow or know anything about those, I'll have a video linked down below on how to use cultivators and plows. So just be aware of that. I'll have that link below. If you're playing with if we go into here, if you're playing with, we'll turn all this stuff on just for the time being. So if you're playing with periodic plowing required, then if you go on the map and over here, which we probably don't have it set up, it probably needs plowing. It probably does. Actually, it doesn't. So anyways, if it has this red, does this one up here need it? Yeah, so like this field, for example, needs plowing. So you will see a 15% yield deficit if you do not plow, just as you do with normal crops. That also applies to poplars. So moving on to phase 2. We have planting. So there's a specialized planter with poplars in it. We'll talk more about this planter, but you're going to use this planter to do all your poplar planting as well. This is the same one that's also going to plant saplings, and I'll show you a little bit about that as well, and we'll talk a bit more about that as well, and I'll show you where to find this in the store. So phase 3 is field care. So like any other crop, there's 2 fertilizer states, which you're going to need to put down with either liquid fertilizer or solid fertilizer, or you could use manure or slurry or digestate. Those are all options. If you need to learn more about fertilizers, I have a video linked below that I will talk about all the different ways to fertilize fields and such like that. So yes, I don't believe you have to worry about weeds. We're going to check that in a second, but you shouldn't have to worry about weeds. You do have to worry about lime if you're playing with, we'll go back into here, with periodic lime required, then you will have to lime every 3 harvests. So if we go in here, for example, that will be shown up by the need lime, which this field does in fact need lime. So that will show up. You shouldn't have to deal with weeds, and our field actually has 2 fertilizer states on it. So they should be a decent harvest actually. Moving on to phase 4 or step 4, we have the way to harvest these poplars, and it's a forage harvester with this specific head. This is the only head in game. This head will hook up to other forage harvesters. However, this is the one it's designed to go with. And again, I'll show you this in store. So just like forage harvesting, and we'll demonstrate this, you either can harvest with this with the pipe out, and you can drive next to it or behind it, or no, I guess not behind it, next to it with a tractor with a trailer that'll take wood chips and it'll blow them into there, or using the trailer hitch on the back of the forage harvester, you can attach this trailer to it or a trailer to it, and it will do it for you. You should be able to, and I believe you can hire workers to do everything in this step, including planting and everything like that. We'll double check that. I'm not sure if you can do it for harvesting, but we're going to try out the harvesting anyways. I don't do a ton of wood chips, but I have done them before. So moving on to step 5 is baling. This is a bio baler. It bales poplars into like wood chip bales or poplar bales, I guess. They're not wood chip bales, but this is not a standard in-game item, which I normally use all standard in-game stuff, which is what I have all throughout there, is all standard in-game stuff. But this is part of a I believe it's a Giants DLC. It's part of the Anderson Group DLC. So we'll demonstrate that just kind of as a bonus. If you're not going to play with that, then don't worry about that section. So what we're going to start with here, what I want to talk about before we get too far, is how the planter works. So I have a little demonstration set up about how to use this planter here. So that's actually, before we jump into how to use this, let's talk about it in the story here. So By the way, the tractor I'm using on, I think all my tractors out here are going to be the Fendt 1030 Vario. Yeah, right here, this guy right here. So I have a bunch of those out. But regardless, those plows and cultivators I use, plows are in here. Cultivators are going to be in here. So there's the cultivator I have out. You again can also use disc harrows and power harrows, and you can use subsoilers in place of plows. So these both do the same thing, and these three will do the same thing. Fertilizer spreaders are going to be in here. Fertilizer spreaders and lime spreaders are going to be in here. Slurry tanks. Then you're also going to have manure spreaders up there as well. So those are kind of your options for fertilization, at least standard options. There's, of course, other options and different things. But if we jump over here to forestry equipment, we will find the PL75 by Damcon. This is the tree planter. It takes poplars and saplings, which is noted down here. Excuse me, has a working width of 4 miles per hour, requires 120 horsepower, and it's a very narrow working width, and I'll demonstrate that as well. But what are you going to put in this? Like, how do you get poplars? How do you get saplings? If we go over here, if we go over to pallets, this is where you're going to buy them. So not sugarcane. Don't use sugarcane. They look the same and they're the same price, but don't do the sugarcane pallet. That's for sugarcane. So this is the poplar saplings pallet. So that is $280 for 2,000 liters, which does go a long ways. So you have this for you. And then this also will fit in this tree harvester, but that's saplings. That will be in a different video. So poplar saplings pallet, that's what we have, and that's what we have here. So what you need to do, if you're going to use this seeder or this planter here, you're going to pull up near one, and I'll turn the help menu on. It doesn't actually show up there, but if we hit R for near one, let's see if there we go. If you see up in the upper left hand corner, it says R for refill tree planter. We'll hit R, we can turn it on, and we can lower it just as we normally can. So we'll turn it off, raise it back up. So let's demonstrate how to use this. So we can do it in a field like this here. So if I hit lower it, turn it on, now it's going and it's planting poplars. Now you can plant any weird shape or whatever row you want to do it. Now if you noticed up there was some space between the gaps or between each row. If I hire a worker to do this, he will naturally put space in between each one. So be aware of that. We're going to unhire him though for the time being, since we have poplars up there that we're going to use. Over here, if you see on the upper left hand corner, it says Y to allow create fields. I can hit that and I can lower it, and right now it's not doing anything, but if I hit B to turn it on, it is now creating a field as well as planting poplars. So that is an option for you. Now the other thing that's tricky with this, if you hit I, there's no way to unload the poplars out of here. So if you wanted to now switch to maybe doing, if we go in the store here and you wanted to, oops, not that one, into here, and you wanted to stop doing poplars and you wanted to do saplings, then you have to run out of the poplars in order to get them out. There's a couple ways around that. If we go into the F11 screen, we can go over to here and we can empty it and it will take it out of there. We also could, if you wanted to, you could fill it that way. So I could fill it. Or actually that's not that, it worked there. 3 saplings, there we go. Nope, it's not going to fill that way, I guess. So I guess that's not going to work for us, but that isn't a way to empty it, but it does waste that whole pallet. Another way I believe you can, if you want to save that, is if you reset this tool. Now it might be frustrating to go get it, but it'll leave the pallet at whatever fill level is at right here where you reset it from, and then you'll be able to go access it. Now notice if I have this like this, if I turn it on, even though there's nothing in it, you can't use this to create fields, even though it says it can, but you just can't. You can't unless you have actual poplars in it. You can do it with saplings as well. But I digress. That is how you use the planter. You can hire workers to do that. I'm going to leave that help screen on just to kind of help things along here. So again, fertilizing, weeding, that stuff's all pretty standard. And let's move on to the harvesting. So first things first, I'm actually going to, I'm going to hop over to the tractor here, and I'm going to disconnect the trailer for the time being, and I'm going to grab onto it with the harvester. So this is the way I like to do it. This is a very common way to do it. This isn't really, I would say, the most realistic way to do it. Most realistic is probably not this way, but I like this because it just makes it easier for me, and I don't have to worry about trying to get, of course, maybe this one's not going to connect now, of course. Interesting. Okay, well, that is not going to work. That should normally work, so let's see what the issue is with that. I'm not sure, but that does normally hook up there. Oh, might be that needs a pin hitch, and we have a ball hitch. All right, well, stand by. Let me get a trailer that will actually work for us here. All right, I have brought over a pin hitch trailer, and as you can see, no problem hooking up to it. So that thought didn't even cross my mind. We'll lower that. So if we look in the upper left-hand corner, what we need to do is get back to our harvester here. So we're gonna need to hit O to get the pipe out. So just like that, so the pipe's gonna track there. And then if we go over to our header, we can hit V to lower that, B to turn it on, just like that. And actually, before we get into harvesting, let me show you these guys in the store. So forage harvester headers, this is the one that's standard in game that does poplars. That's the only one available. If we go over here, here's forage harvesters. This is the one I'm using, but they all have the wood chip notation down there, so they all should work for wood chips, and all of these should be able to interchangeably hook up to the header I have on here. So now if I hit H to hire a worker, there you go. It does work to hire a worker to do this. And you can plant the gaps if you want to. It's not required, but you can plant them. And there you go. You see we have wood chips getting thrown into the trailer behind us. Perfect. And again, you can have a tractor with a trailer, drive next to it, and do the same thing doing that. Now, a couple other things that we need to talk about. Let's get over here to a tractor. We'll talk about baling in a second. So if I go into the menu here, I have crop destruction on. So crop destruction does work on all stages of poplars. So as soon as they're planted, it will work on them. So if I just drive across like this, you'll see it leaves a nice path where it does that to them, where it puts them into a harvested state. Now, the other thing to note about poplars is they do grow back as many times as you want. Now you have to keep fertilizing, and if you wanted to get the full yield, you have to plow them and replant them if you wanted to do that. But if you weren't worried about that 15% with the plow, get them going the first time, and then after that, just fertilize and lime them as needed. So that is an option for you. Yeah, so they do regrow as much as you like. So that's why once you get them set up, they're good to go. They're not going to have any issues after that. So that's what the crop destruction looks like on there. Now we're going to go to our little bonus deal here, and we're going to go ahead and bale some poplars. So I'm going to hop in here, and again, I have the Anderson bio baler on the back. So just like most balers, I hit V to lower it, V to raise it, B to turn it on, lower it. So it's like lowering the pickup, essentially, is doing that. So we're going to turn it off. Now, another thing to note, you see up there on the upper left hand corner, it has a control for the left mouse button and the right mouse button. So the left mouse button, adjust that flap, which I don't know if that's going to have any consequence to what you're doing. However, the one that does matter is if we're driving, the right mouse button is going to move it to the side. So as you just saw, if we had crop destruction turned on, we are going to destroy the crop if we do it, if we drive right over it with the tractor. So this will allow you to shift it from side to side to make sure you can work around that. So what we're going to do is we'll actually go to the other end, and I think I parked that tractor right in the way, so I might have to move him here in just a second. So we're going to drive down that way and do some baling. We'll get this guy out of our way. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to again lower it, hit B to turn it on. Very slow working speed of 4 miles an hour. And there it is. So it does show up as wood chips, however, it is a poplar bale, if that makes any sense at all. We'll see if we can't get a full bale here. So let me get a full bale, and I'll bring you guys back in to unload it. All right, here we are with a full bale here. As with most balers, you cannot hire a worker to do this, and you also have to manually unload it once it is full. So it will knock out a nice round, essentially bale of poplars. So right there, that's what you're going to get out of this. So that's kind of just a bonus deal. You can't lift it up. It's too heavy. It's like normal bales. You can work with it. This won't get picked up by any of the bale trailers or anything like that, so just be aware of that. You'll have to do a lot of these, at least as far as I know. I could be wrong on that, but my understanding is it does not work to pick those up otherwise. But anyhow, there you have it. There is that for you. So, and these will all regrow, as I mentioned. So let's go ahead and speed up the time. Let's get plant growth turned to fast here, and we're going to go ahead and just cruise through the time. Let me actually go into this screen and bump up our time even faster. Perfect. So now I'm just speeding up time here. Once these guys get into the next growth state, it'll show up there as they are growing again at some point. As you can see, the other ones are starting to go. There we go. So now they're in the next growth state, so they are growing up again. And since we had weeds turned on, did we not? Yes. Let's go take a look in here and see if we have any weeds showing up. We do not. So you don't have to worry about weeds on them either. So that solves both of those questions for you. Anyhow, guys, that is everything about poplars that I know of. There may be some other things I missed. By the way, wood chips, if you're going to store those, there's no standard in-game way to store those. You can store them into a multi-fruit silo or some other ways like that, but normally they're kind of a bulk storage function. And also to sell wood chips, if we go in here, this one will probably take them just because it's the only sell point on this map, but there is wood chips. Oh, it doesn't even take them on there. But you'd have to have a lumber mill, essentially, is where you're going to sell the wood chips, as well as the bio bales. The bio bales sell as if they are wood chips, so they'll be taken at a wood chip sell point. So anyhow, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on your screen and turn on your notification bells to not miss any future videos that I may post. This has been Farmer Cop, guys. Thank you, and thank you for watching.